This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. We begin with the House Judiciary Committee planning to vote tomorrow whether to subpoena the full Mueller report along with evidence investigators gathered during that investigation. The White House says the committee has no legal grounds for the move. Our George Thomas has more on the potential legal showdown.
The legal battle to see the full unredacted report will heat up Wednesday when House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler and House Democrats plan to issue subpoenas after setting today as a deadline to see Robert Mueller's findings and evidence.
We're already hearing that the president may want to claim executive privilege on some of this, but the fact is, he has no right to claim executive privilege on any evidence of wrongdoing.
Attorney General William Barr is insisting the committee and the public will only see a redacted version of the report before the middle of April. Barr released a summary of Mueller's findings last week, clearing the president of any collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney says it is well within Barr's right to release whatever information from Mueller's findings.
So if Mr. Barr wants to show it to Congress first, he's going to do that. If he's going to redact part of it, he's going to do that. If he's not, he's going to do that. This is how the system is supposed to work, and we're very happy to let the system play out the way the law intended.
Famed lawyer and author Alan Dershowitz says while he understands why lawmakers and the public want to read Mueller's report, he says there's no legal basis to demand the full, unredacted release of the investigation.
The special counsel, under the rules, has an obligation to file a report with the Attorney General. There's nothing in the rules that require the Attorney General to make the report public, particularly if it contains information critical of people who are not indicted. So this is a political issue. This is a media issue.
In addition to demanding the full Mueller report, House Democrats have opened a wide range of investigations into Trump's business dealings before winning the White House, his foreign financial interests, questions of whether he obstructed justice, and other aspects of his presidency. The Democrats' ongoing complaints prompted this tweet from the president on Monday. No matter what information is given to the crazed Democrats from the no collusion Mueller report, it will never be good enough. Behind closed doors, the Dems are laughing. George Thomas, CBN News.
A second woman is accusing former Vice President Joe Biden of inappropriately touching her. Amy Lapos is a former aide to a Democratic congressman. She says Biden grabbed the back of her neck, pulled her close, and rubbed noses with her at a Democratic fundraiser back in October of 2009. Her claim comes after a former Nevada politician said Biden kissed her on the head in 2014. Biden addressed the allegation Sunday, saying, quote, he doesn't think he ever acted inappropriately.
I was pretty grossed out by his statement. I was actually more offended by his statement than what he did, because I feel like that is A, not accepting any responsibility. B, we all know that he does that.
Political observers say the allegations could hurt Biden's expected 2020 presidential campaign. We'll have more on this story and other headlines from our Washington bureau this evening on Faith Nation. Of course, you can watch that right here on the CBN News Channel. We turn now to the issue of religious freedom. It isn't only for American Christians. It's for people of all faiths. Members of America's Ahmadiyya Muslim community delivered that message on Capitol Hill Monday. Representatives from 30 states met government leaders to voice concern for the rights of the Uyghur people of China. More than 100 million Uyghurs are forcibly detained in Chinese detention camps. The ambassador for international religious freedom, Sam Brownback, joined the Muslims in speaking out against the mistreatment.
China seems to be at war with faith. It is a war they will not win. Governments come and go, but faith stays the course and stays on, because it's how people direct their souls. It's something that lives within people. Advocate, advocate, advocate. Push, push, push. And then also include these issues in your prayers. Put them up also in front of God.
Senior international correspondent Gary Lane is here right now with more on this. So first, who are the Ahmadiyya Muslim people and why did they visit Washington on behalf of the Uyghurs?
They're a small sect of Islam. They started in British India, in the Punjab state, I should say, back in 1889. There are probably as many as 10, 20 million of them worldwide, Ephraim. and right here in the United States started in 1920. There are probably about 20,000 here in the U.S., a very small community, but they're terribly persecuted because their brand of Islam is not the same as Sunni or Shia Islam, mostly persecuted by other Muslims.
Now, when we come to the Uyghurs, has Sam Brownback discussed this with the Chinese government?
Yes, he has. As a matter of fact, he said, look, you've got 1 million of them detained in your facilities in camps around China. And he recently talked to a representative of the UN for the Chinese, and he said, look, what are you going to do about this? He says, oh, no, these are boarding schools. These are boarding schools. They're not detainment camps. He said, oh, really? Well, if they're boarding schools, I've got a list here of Uyghurs who are being detained, and their family members want to know what happened to them. Where are they being detained in these border schools? He got no response. So he's been very critical of the Chinese government. For that, China says, mind your own business.
Now, what did the Chinese government do when it came to an American Uyghur, the director of the Campaign for Uyghurs?
Yes. Her name is Rushan Abbas, and Rushan Abbas last September spoke before the Hudson Institute about the Uyghur people, and as a result of that, guess what happened to her? Her sister and her aunt were arrested. She doesn't know where they are. The Chinese government arrested them. She wants to have some answers, but Ephraim, this is basically what she said in a quote. She said, look, I've been a U.S. citizen for 25 years. I'm proud of that, yet the long arm of the Chinese Communist regime has extended its reach across borders to ravage my heart by jailing the only close family that I have. So their reach all the way across the Pacific Ocean to the U.S.
Now, when it comes to that congressional meeting with the Ahmadiyya Muslims,
yes,
you said that, or believe that, one of the big takeaways is something that Peter King said, a congressman.
Yeah, Peter King basically said, look, we have to have religious freedom for everyone. It isn't just for Christians, it's for everyone. And if it isn't for everyone, it is universal, but if it isn't, then we have religious freedom for no one.
Indeed.
That is a big takeaway. But Sam Brownback also said, please pray. Not only advocate, but pray.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Gary, thank you so much for following this for us. We want to turn now to relief efforts. They continue in Mozambique after major and deadly flooding, and U.S. troops have just put their boots on the ground in the country to help in any way possible.
We brought a forklift with us, and we're cargo specialists, so any way we can support the cause and, help out everyone here. That's all we're here doing.
After following the incident, I feel like everybody is keeping their head up high, being very resilient, and we're just trying to help the best way we can, aid all of that so that we can get everybody back to where they need to be.
America's military has been airlifting food and relief supplies from South Africa. The United Nations says more than 140,000 people have been left without a home. Officials so far providing 161 shelter sites, including schools and community centers. This as international health workers race to contain a cholera outbreak in the country where the number of cases has jumped to more than 1,000. The death toll from the cyclone has risen to more than 500. Emergency authorities say they expect that to rise as receding floodwaters will expose more bodies. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, the humanitarian crisis there continues as President Nicolas Maduro and opposition leader Juan Guaido fight for power. Guaido held a rally in Caracas on Monday, just hours after the nation's Chief Justice asked lawmakers to strip him of parliamentary immunity. This as they try to prosecute him for alleged crimes as he seeks to oust President Nicolas Maduro. Tear gas was fired at Monday's rally as Guaido told the crowd that, quote, we are going to keep on going, and continued his calls for Maduro to step down. Citizens there suffering from nationwide blackouts have led to a breakdown in critical services such as running water and public transportation. While states across the country are seeing a rise in disease that was declared officially eliminated from the United States back in 2000, a health reporter, Lori Johnson, is taking a look at the epidemic. Stay with us.
CBN presents The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
We're going to talk about some of the incredible promises God has made to His children.
In Pat Robertson's newest teaching, you'll discover the I Wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation, and see amazing stories of God's promises in action.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
the good Lord had given me a second chance.
Break free from stress and despair.
The Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, but to know the rewards given to those who love God.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I Wills of God, your path to overcoming fear and anxiety.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
The measles outbreak sweeping America is only getting worse. The Centers for Disease Control reports nearly 400 cases. Now, that is the second highest since the contagious disease was eliminated back in 2000. The measles resurgence is primarily due to tourists from other countries bringing it to the United States and infecting people who have not been vaccinated. Joining us now is our health reporter, Lori Johnson. So exactly how dangerous is it to get the measles?
Well, the measles, when we talk about that compared to other diseases, it's not as lethal as other diseases. Of course, Ephraim, 1 death is far too many. But when we look at the measles, the vaccine was developed in the year 1963. Before 1963, since it's so contagious, almost every child in the United States got it before the age of 15. And back then, the death rate was about 400 to 500 per year. So that gives you an idea of how lethal it is. According to the CDC right now, though, they say 1 out of every 4 people who gets the measles will be hospitalized. 1 out of every 1,000 will develop brain swelling, which is called encephalitis due to infection, and that may lead to brain damage. And then 1 or 2 out of 1,000 people with the measles will die, according to the CDC.
Now, how can someone tell if they have the measles, especially since we're not as familiar with it as we used to be?
Right. A lot of those symptoms look like just a regular cold, except the spots. The CDC is alerting people, especially if there's an outbreak in your area, and if your child has not been vaccinated, to take a note of these symptoms. Measles symptoms include a high fever, may even get up to 104, a cough, runny nose, red, watery eyes, and here's the thing, the rash that breaks out 3 to 5 days after symptoms begin. So we're talking about the MMR vaccination, which usually starts at around age 2. A lot of parents are opting out of the vaccination, and there are even places in the country where there are these outbreaks, such as in an area about an hour north of New York City, where the government officials are trying to stem the outbreak by saying that no children under the age of 18 can go to public places like parks, church, the mall, unless they have their vaccination. And by the way, once you get the vaccine, it takes effect in as little as 3 days.
Where are we seeing these cases?
Well, we're seeing them all over the country. And we have an outbreak in Massachusetts. We're seeing one in California. And what they're doing is they're finding the patient 0, and they're actually putting on the news, hey, this person went to such and such a mall, and then they went to the Starbucks on Main Street, and then they went here, because it's so highly contagious. You can get it just by breathing the same air.
Wow. Are some areas harder hit, or?
They are. And again, it has to do with the prevalence of people from other areas, other countries where measles outbreaks are prevalent, coming here and infecting unvaccinated populations.
I never thought we'd be sitting here talking about the measles all over again.
I know. I know. It's crazy. But, then a lot of people who choose not to get vaccinated say, hey, what's the big deal? I mean, most kids go through it. They get better. I did when I was younger.
I did as well.
Yeah, so, you know, it's kind of a give and take. And here in America, it's really created such a huge debate about whether we should force people to get vaccinated. Because after all, this is America. We have freedoms. But then when do those freedoms impinge on the rights of the population as a whole? So that's the continuing debate.
It makes me grateful that both of my kids were vaccinated. Thank you so much. I want to let you know that you can find more health news right here on the CBN News channel with new episodes of Healthy Living airing on Tuesday evenings. That begins at 9:30. Topics all over the place, the healing power of essential oils and how to balance your hormones naturally, and so much more. Lori, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Coming up after the break, it's Autism Awareness Month, and we're going to let you know of a story of how one village in China is going above and beyond for a special group of children. This is a story you want to see. Stay with us.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
Sesame Street has a character suffering with autism, and that character is back now for Autism Awareness Month. Julia, the first Muppet with autism to appear on the show, made her debut back in 2017, but the program expanded her role and introduced her family to fans to kick off Autism Awareness Month that happened this April. The Sesame Workshop also released new videos and materials to help families who have children with autism. Autism, by the way, right now affects about 59 children in the United States and, of course, their families. Now, for one small village in China, 70 families set out to help children with autism in a nearby orphanage. And as George Thomas now reports, it started with a simple message from the Bible about caring for widows and orphans.
For 18 years, Robert Glover has had a dream. To see 1 million Chinese children moved from orphanages into local, loving families. That dream is becoming a reality in a corner of China's Hunan province.
And it was just so remarkable. You know, what was going on in this village was the dream that we had been anticipating.
It all started a few years back when families in Yangjai village set out to change the lives of children in a nearby orphanage.
And I think the amazing thing is they started to really go deep and study the Bible, and they found this bit about widows and orphans, and it really just impacted them.
And these weren't ordinary children.
The children had a very tough life before they were found by the policeman or be collected to the orphanage.
They've been abandoned, and you imagine being abandoned in a city at a very young age and not having anyone to fend for you. And we know where the children have maternal deprivation, they will develop sometimes mental illness, physical illness, and even die.
These children lived in a Chinese government institution. They had the infrastructure and all the facilities, but
they're not able to get any kind of family love or care.
Glover's team discovered something special about the village.
People here, they give their real heart to the children. They love the children, and they support each other.
And that became evident when 70 families became foster parents to 170 children.
All the children were placed with this village from the Kunming orphanage, and up to 99% have difficulties, physically and mentally.
That didn't matter to the villagers. You see, the majority of Yangjai is Christian, and the families knew that this was the right thing to do.
It is quite incredible, because I think most of us, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we think about is ourselves. These people, they get up and they think of these children, and it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Their act of love had a profound impact, bringing the community together like never before.
This is the dream that has come true. To see, you know, not only the mothers and fathers, but the brothers and sisters, the uncles and aunties, and then the extended family, the whole community come together.
Glover believes what families in Yangjai are doing should be the model for taking care of orphaned and vulnerable children.
And all those people working in institutions are going to suddenly think, oh, I'm going to lose my job. So there's going to be a bit of a fight and a battle. The better way is to say, let's work within the institution and retrain some of the staff to move with the children into the community as support workers.
Glover is the founder of Care for Children, an organization that teaches government-run institutions how to move children from the orphanage into local families. He says he's simply practicing a biblical model.
And we just come back simply to that point. God made the family for children.
So far, Care for Children has placed more than 300,000 Chinese children in families across the country.
The government has realized, the academics have realized, a lot of the NGOs are here. I think it's the church that's behind. The Christian church needs to wake up.
In 2003, the Chinese government invited Glover and his family to move to Beijing so they could introduce this family-based care throughout the country. As a result, the government took a historic step in 2014 by changing legislation to state that family placement is a positive alternative to institutional care.
I shed a tear because it took 17 years for them to change that legislation. It took lots of children's transformations to change that legislation. And I think that is, you know, phenomenal, because that's not about me, that's about a faithful God.
China says it has 576,000 orphans, but outside groups put the number closer to 1 million. Glover says many of the families taking in orphans are Christians.
The biggest Christian revival in world history is happening now in China. And so as that's happening and we're placing children in the family, it's not surprising that the families that are coming forward are the Christian.
For the 70 foster families in Yangjai village, the experience has been life-changing.
特别的爱他们，他们对我们对自己亲生的还要那么想我们也是那样的爱他们。
有的，但是困难总可以解决嘛，困难是少的嘛，是吧？最开心，很开心的，
For the children, it has been equally transforming.
我爱大家。
我爱爸爸妈妈。
Glover says the smiles here remind him of the dream God put in his heart to help transform the lives of a generation of children across China.
You know, what we're giving these children is an opportunity to have that identity and security and love, and nurture in a family and a community.
George Thomas, CBN News.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Just about out of time. I want to remind you, though, that you can check out our CBN News Daily Rundown podcast with Caitlin Burke. She gives you a behind-the-scenes look at a key story in the news every single day. You can find it at cbnnews.com. On the show tab, there you can click on the title, you can listen and subscribe. That will do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. Remember that you can always get more on the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And you can now watch CBN News programs anytime throughout the day on the CBN News channel. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. And you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. Certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time for CBN Newswatch. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.